Remember this? This is the Polaris RZR Turbo S. And not even 2 years ago, this was the baddest of all stock side-by-sides on the market. It had 168 horsepower and 32-inch tires, truly taking the market by storm. Remember this? This was Can-Am's response to that with the Maverick X3 Turbo R. They basically went ahead and gave it to Polaris by tweaking the horsepower just enough to make sure they had the most horsepower in a stock machine at 172. But apparently, that's not good enough for Can-Am anymore. So they just went ahead and announced the 2020 Maverick lineup, and they left all of that in the dust. It is an exciting time to be a Can-Am lover because Can-Am has just recently announced the 2020 Can-Am lineup. Now, this video, we're not going to cover all that. We're going to focus on just the Can-Am Maverick. And to be more specific, the Can-Am Maverick Turbo RR models. Because did you know, by the way, that for 2020, there are 15 Can-Am Maverick X3 models. That's not even including the trail machine. So we're going to really truly narrow it down to the entire Turbo RR lineup because that's all new to this year. And that consists of all of these. Now, to make sense of this alphabet soup, because Can-Am, like Polaris, likes to just throw a bunch of letters together and string them out in hopes that it just sounds awesome, when in reality it confuses everybody. So we're going to focus on the Turbo RR series and what's similar about it, and then we'll kind of break down a few of the differences between specific models. So with this lineup for the 2020 series, Can-Am has basically added 7 new Can-Am Maverick X3s, and they're called the Turbo RR lineup. So just to help you clarify, whenever you go to their website or you're looking at them, if you want to see this machine, the one that consists of 195 horsepower, which we're going to get to more in a minute, look for it to end in Turbo RR. I hope that helps you out. So with this entire Turbo RR lineup, you actually still have the same 999cc engine that the entire Can-Am Maverick X3 lineup has. But what they did was they went ahead and tore the turbo off that thing and they slapped a bigger turbo on there. And then they tore the intercooler off there and they slapped a bigger intercooler on there with a less restrictive airbox. And then they went ahead and upgraded the pistons and just increased the airflow into this beast. So that ends up giving it 195 horsepower. And you heard me right, 195 horsepower, pushing 135 foot-pounds torque. Now, other than that, it's mostly going to be the same. It does have the QRS-X transmission with CVT clutch. It's still got the same smart lock technology, which, by the way, I really wasn't a fan of. I'm not going to lie. When smart lock technology came out, and even last year, I kind of bashed it, to be honest. Another video. Point being, I'm kind of a fan now. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the specific models and how they're different from each other. Coming in at the bottom of the line, if you want to call it that, Turbo RR is the Maverick X3X DS Turbo RR with an MSRP of $24,999. And because I'm not going to separate it so much, I'm just going to cover them in between, just so you know you can get the 4-seat version of this, which is the X3 Max X DS Turbo RR. It's getting real wordy up in here. All right, so this machine is going to have a 64-inch stance. It's the only one that has a 64-inch stance. And I'm going to be honest with you. Let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. I'm a big fan of the 64-inch stance. All the ones we're going to talk about after this are 72 inches or greater. In the Midwest here, 72 inches, it's just too big, to be honest. I mean, I get it. I'm not downing it. If you live out, if you're in Moab or you're hitting the dunes or wherever, I understand. But here in the Midwest, like 72 inches is just too wide. So comment down below and let me know what you think. Moving on from that, this has 14-inch beadlock rims with 29-inch Maxxis Bighorn 2.0 tires. It's got arched A-arms, Fox Podium 2.5 shocks, and unlike all the other ones we're going to talk about, has 14 inches of ground clearance. Moving on from that, we have the Maverick X3X RS Turbo RR, which, by the way, also comes in a 4-seater, known as the Maverick X3 Max X RS Turbo RR. All right, now the MSRP on this one starts out at $27,499, so we've jumped up quite a bit. This has a 4-link suspension system that provides 24 inches of travel. It's got 14-inch beadlock rims and 30-inch Maxxis Bighorn tires. And speaking of the tires, by the way, on this one, they've changed the width. So it's 11 inches in the back and 9 inches in the front. And speaking of front versus back, the front also has Fox Podium 2.5 shocks, while the rear has Fox Podium 3.0 shocks. This also comes stock with a 4-point harness system as well as a 72-inch width. By the way, speaking of which, so all the ones with the 72-inch width, they've all been increased to 16 inches of ground clearance, which is an inch higher than 2019 models where it was 15 inches of ground clearance. All right, so let's move on to, quite frankly, what is probably my favorite one, and that's the Maverick X3 XMR Turbo RR. This also, by the way, comes in the Max edition, so the 4-seater. That's the Maverick X3 Max XMR Turbo RR. So the MSRP on this one is $26,999. It's got 22 inches of travel with 14-inch beadlock rims pushing 30-inch ITP cryptid tires. And if you haven't noticed up until now, all the other Turbo RR models have had Maxxis Bighorn tires on them. This is the only one that features ITP cryptid tires, and the tread on these looks pretty sick. And if you're not tracking the XMR series, it's meant as more of a mud machine. So on top of that, it's got a 4,500 pound winch as well as a snorkel system. So again, it's coined the Mud Runner, and those are two things that you're really gonna wanna have if you're gonna take this beast through the mud. And like I mentioned, this is like, this is my favorite one. I love it. It looks good. They're amazing. The XMRs are amazing machines. By the way, I didn't even mention, and this has absolutely nothing to do with performance, but it's got this colored keyed center console with signature lights on it that just like, I love it. Now, here's the problem. For me, it has a 74-inch width, 74 inches wide. That's insane, and I hate to say it because I love the XMR. Here in the Midwest, that is just too wide of a machine, especially for the mud trails here in the Midwest, because those are the more narrow trails. They're often, through the woods, and you hit mud pits and different things along the way, more technical trails with a lot of muddy, just amazing areas to ride, but they can't generally handle a 74-inch wide machine. So it doesn't work here, which is unfortunate. But fear not, at least Can-Am has the Maverick trail models. Moving on to the Maverick X3 XRC Turbo RR, which is coined the climbing champion, by the way. This one has an MSRP of $29,599. That's a lot of money. Like, that is a lot of, just for the record, you can almost buy a brand new pickup truck for $29,000. It's $30,000. It's a $30,000. Let's not church it up with the $599. That is a $30,000 machine. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have one or you're thinking about getting one, like, more power to you. I think they're amazing. They're super expensive. If you have one, I'm not judging. Quite honestly, I would love to come be your friend on the trail. Maybe you even let me like sit next to it. Just let me sit next to it. Maybe smell it a little. This beautiful $30,000 side-by-side has a 4-link suspension system with 24 inches of travel. It's also got 15-inch beadlock rims holding on 32-inch Maxxis Liberty tires. On top of that, this one also has the 72-inch width and 16 inches of ground clearance. Now, one thing I want to mention on all these 72-inch width machines is they all come with a sweet 7.3-inch display. And not only does it come with that display, they also additionally gave it a keypad so that you can actually make more use of that display. I mean, it looks awesome. Super excited about that. Amazing work. Good job, Can-Am. So my question to you is, which one would you get? I really like the XMR. 74 inches is way too wide. And that's why I would probably end up getting the entry level, if you want to call it that, Turbo RR model, because of the 64-inch wheelbase. It's kind of where I'm at. I love a lot of the features of the other machines, but 64 inches is really about as wide of a machine as I'm willing to go here currently in the Midwest. So let me know your thoughts down below. I truly hope this was helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you on the trail. And by the way, if you want to watch more of the 2020 announcement and lineup, ATVs and side-by-sides, click this video down here. Otherwise, click this video up here to check out our latest video. Click this video for our latest video. All right. Have a good night. Or day. Or morning or whatever. I'm just going to shut it off. I'm going to shut it off.